overflow of thought, often knocked at the door of a poet who was getting excited to scribble it down on any matter available, may it be a piece of paper or a cigarette packet. Yes, we are talking about none other than Oriya poet Padma Bhushan Ramakant Rath, who was born and brought up in Orissa. So now let's meet him and have a few words. Sir, namaskar. Sir, let's start from your childhood, your education, about your upbringing and how you had developed your writing skills from those days.
I was born at Cuttack. My maternal grandfather, he was then the Sanskrit teacher in the Ravenshaw Collegiate School. My father was then away at Kalahandi. He was the headmaster of the high school at Bhawanipatna. So I spent practically my childhood in my grandfather's village.
Ramakant Rath was born in Cuttack, Orissa on 13 December 1934. His father's name is Lokanath Mahapatra and mother's name is Parvati Devi. Since his grandfather, Pandit Vishwanath Ratha, had no son, the former had adopted Ramakanta as his son. So Ramakant's surname was changed to Ratha. Rath had his school education in village and small towns in Orissa. He had spent his initial professional career in the hilly and tribal areas of Kalahandi and Fulbani, and during those days he had to face a lot of difficulties in that hostile region.
Some poems I wrote in my college days, and some poems which I wrote in the early years of my service career. It was published in, I think, in 1962 and was very well received. And unfortunately, some of the poems I wrote in the college days, I misplaced those poems, I couldn't find them. So those poems are lost forever. But those poems which I could lay my hands on, I compiled them and put them in this book. This book was very well received.
व्यक्तिगत अनुभूति आवेग सहित ओडिया परंपरार जो मधुर मिश्रण तांको कविता को आनी देछि एक अलगा नियारा परिचय समग्र भारतीय काव्य साहित्य रे से जन अनन्य प्रतिभा विशेष करी से रुक्ष गद्य को जेपरि भाव में निज कविता रे व्यवहार करी एक नूतन मौलिक इमेजरी सृष्टि करती तार कौन तुलना नहीं अन्य कौन भारतीय कवि मान भितर
फुंगुड़ा देहरे कंकी धरिबारे कोड़ी तोड़िबारे सकाळ गोटाक काटुथिबा बाळकर सेदिन देहांत हेबो. I sincerely believe that a poet should not claim that it was he who has created the poem. The poem is created by situations, by circumstances which are not under his control.
Does Ramakant Rath's poetry really inspire the young poets these days?
Poet is famous only because of the powerful lines. If all the lines of the poem will be powerful, then he will be noted. Whatever he writes, it pacifies emotion and intellect.
Ramakant is one of the prominent Oriya poets today. He has been most successful in using new symbols, new images, new verse forms and new diction. His romanticism and death are Siamese twins. One is inseparable from the other. His poems are generally webbed around the fabric of destiny, death and destruction.
Ramakant Rath's contribution to Odia literature is immense. As a matter of fact, as a poet, he is the one who broke new ground after the 50s. and since then he has not looked back.
It is told that he is a pessimistic poet, but his pessimism is always rising towards optimism, hope and love.
You know, for a father or mother, all the children are the same. So for a poet, all the poems are the same. It's difficult for him to choose one, but I will do one. Take half of the remainder of my life, but fill every moment of the half that is mine with your infatuation. Was the bargain unfair? Then leave me with a single moment and take away the rest of my life, but like the sky, fill the whole space above that moment. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Ramakant Rath is definitely a person par excellence with his gentle manners. He praises his better half for assuming all the household and social responsibilities, perhaps for which he could pursue his main interest, poetry. Ramakant Rath has definitely taken a retirement as a bureaucrat, but he has not taken a retirement as a poet. He has never ceased poetry, but constantly lives in a fear that someday poetry might abandon him.